and hopefully it will start for realsies. Hopefully. And it has, and let me make sure that we can hear each other.
I can hear you.
Well, I can hear you. I'm trying to hear if I can hear us. All right, say some words.
Some words? Any words? Any specific words? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, okay. Now I'm getting the loop of sound, so that was fun. All right. Okay, so we are streaming. That is good. And then we are reading or reviewing today Journey into Mystery, issue number 85, The Appearance of Loki.
Wait.
No?
84.
84? The Appearance of the Communists?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to do Loki. Okay, I can do that.
Well,
I read both of them, so I was unclear about which one.
No, I thought you corrected me.
I did, but I didn't know if you got that or not. So
Yeah.
we can do that one.
Wait, go back to my library. Yeah, I've read both of them now.
Okay.
So.
I mean,
we can do either one you want.
We could do both. we read both of them.
We can do both of them.
So I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull that one up. Give me a second. How do I go to the series? I want to go to the series. Back. And then I want to go back. Once again, Marvel Unlimited. Like, seriously, guys. Seriously.
Straighten this up, man. It's like... So we're going to do the one with the Executioner?
The Executioner, yes. I've got lots of thoughts about this one. If I could get to it, I'd be very happy. But it's not going to let me. Why can't I just go to the thing? Okay. Is this 1952? There's no library on the website. Like, you can add things to your library, but there's no library. It's all a lie.
Oh.
So I'm trying to bring it up.
Well, I use my tablet.
I don't understand. Like, it says add to library, and then there's no way to look at your library on the website. So I have to search it every time. And I'm like, why would you do that? It's 1952, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so...
1952.
Yeah, so in the 50s, and the way we got... Remember how... I don't know how much of history you remember from that time period, but that was when we were trying to stop the spread of communism.
Yeah, so I felt that real strong. And
we were trying to stop the spread of communism, which meant not only Vietnam, Cambodia, and all those places, but also down in South America and Central America, which was
this
Cuba.
One was heavily propagandized against communism.
That's what we were doing in 52 was
Get
trying
'em.
to stop the spread of the commies, man.
not communism, anything but communism. I got to it. Finally, yes. Okay. So we get at the beginning a review, which I am no longer mad at because now my brain has wrapped around the fact that people in the olden days could not access things like we can access things. Which still kind of blows my mind. It's not going to load. Okay, that's fine. So it's, yeah. So they would, like, if they didn't buy last, is this by week or month? If they didn't buy last month's comic, then they could never see it ever again. I mean, unless they had a friend or something. But, like, it was not easily accessible like media is today. So I will forgive them for the constant rehashes of the previous the previous comic books. It's needed, I guess. Fine.
There is a reason for that.
I know. Yeah, I get it now. It still bothers me a little bit.
Even if you're reading like a novel or whatever, if it's a trilogy, they usually take a couple pages to tell you what happened in the first book.
Yeah.
Or they should.
So we learned that Dr. Don Blake found a stick in a cave and became Thor, and he automatically knew like everything about the powers. But he returns to America. They call him lame this whole time, which for like being a 90s child, lame, it's just funny to me. And I know they mean it's because he limps, but it's just like every time they're like lame Dr. Don Blake. It's so fun. I don't know. It made me laugh. So he went back, and Jane Foster is his nurse, and she helps him out, and he likes her and she likes him, but neither one of them tell each other that they like each other. So that's fun.
Yeah, a little bit of what's non-communication, like, let's not talk about this stuff here.
Yeah.
There we go, finally.
And so they go to like a medical conference, and the medical people are like, we need doctors in San Diablo because those commies are killing people with their leader called the Executioner. I mean, they don't try to...
No, it's no sugarcoating.
No sugar. They really hate commies a lot. Like,
communism is bad.
They send their victims to the firing squad. I mean, they're just okay. It's like, okay, and the U.S. military is not shooting every single thing in every single comic book. Come on. So they get on a boat and to go to San Diablo, and they get attacked by the commies in their planes. And Dr. Blake turns into Thor when nobody's looking, and I actually like it. He doesn't kill anybody, so he just like breaks apart their airplanes, but everybody like floats safely to the ocean, assuming that somebody picks them up out of the ocean. And
he's a healer, not a killer.
Yeah, so I like that. And there's obviously the communist insignia on the side of the planes, and
you caught that, did you?
Yeah, I mean, they're just...
Does that remind you of the Soviet Union there?
Well, I'm on Reddit, so I see that symbol a lot from like all of the communist pages and stuff. So yeah, they wanted to kill all the doctors because they didn't want to help the sick peasants. Like,
because if you get those peasants well, they'll be able to overthrow you.
Which, I was kind of like, oh, a government allowing its people to die? What? And I was like, okay, I get it, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah, they're the ones voting for you.
And this is also a thing where, like, people want to separate their entertainment from their politics, but this thing is just politics. This is all just propaganda against communists, this whole thing. So, I mean, I don't see how you can separate entertainment and politics when you're pushing an agenda with this comic.
We had to stop the spread of communism, man.
So dangerous.
Because communism is evil.
So, it
wasn't really communism, by the way. It was just a dictatorship.
A dictatorship, yeah.
Yeah.
So he takes all the planes down, and then he falls in the ocean and turns back into Dr. Blake, and then he's like, hey, ship, I'm...
Can you help?
Drowning, help, or whatever. And Jane's like, oh yeah, he's lame. You should fish him out before he drowns.
Yeah, I know. It cracks me up too. Why are you freezing, Tablet?
Because it doesn't like you.
No.
Because it's your turn to have technical difficulties and not me this time. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So, and Jane Foster is like, wow, like, Thor saved us, and he's handsome. Yeah. she just, like, threw that at the end. Meanwhile, at San Diablo, the Executioner's like, you guys suck.
And you're dead.
I'm gonna kill you.
And
Just
pow,
because.
pow, pow.
Yeah. It's like, maybe there's not a problem with communism, but just this guy that calls himself the Executioner and is going around mass murdering people. Maybe he's the problem. So they get there, and it's like just a series of events. So they try to shoot him in, like, walking up a mountain, and Thor makes a storm so they could walk past, which doesn't necessarily make sense to me because I feel like the storm would have affected the people trying to walk up the mountain as well to safety. But the snipers.
Wait, were they hiding in a cave?
No, they were like trying to walk up a mountain. Let's
I get
see.
that.
They're coming through the pass, and so they were like all. Well, maybe okay. So if they were coming through a pass and there's like snipers. Maybe the snipers are up top and they're like in the pass. So maybe they're safe from like the wind and rain because they're in a pass.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that it affected the guys that were trying to hurt them. But
Yeah.
It didn't bother them.
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused because I was like,
because they took cover.
But they can't take cover. They have to walk. Like they have to get through it. They had to keep going.
No, before he called the storm, it's an ambush. Take cover. So
they just sat out the storm and then walked through because it turned into a mudslide and the sniper guys are just like slipping in the mud like a comedy movie or something.
Right. I mean, we just took out the bad guys. We didn't touch the good people. And he's got smart wind.
Yeah. And then they
smart storms.
Yeah. They keep going, and then there's commie tanks. Watch out! And I love how they're commie tanks. Whatever, it's fine. Thor uses a tree to lever them up, as if the capitalists don't have tanks either. But whatever, it's fine. And so he smushes their tanks to pieces, but once again, they're safe-ish. I mean, their boss is probably going to kill them for failing, so...
but the guys jumped out of the tank.
Yeah, they jumped out. But they capture Jane Foster, and so Thor can't hurt them because they're holding her. So they take Jane Foster away, and the Executioner thinks she's beautiful. Gross.
Yeah, I mean that part's gross, but they've captured Jane, so he just lets them have her.
Yeah,
what?
Hasn't he like taken out a bunch of people like surrounding him in a circle? Like he's got the hammer. You can do like pinpoint accuracy to the head of the person holding her.
How is it you couldn't, yeah.
Yeah. So,
no, I'm not buying that one.
No. And what happens? Oh, he's like, I'm going to turn into Don Blake again. Why did he do that?
I guess so he could sneak in and get her? I don't know.
What was his plan? So he's not going to take him.
That was the other thing. It was a weird plan.
Like, you're going to go in.
Like, you got to give her back to me.
As a limping doctor to a dictator who just kills people. So anyways, what you think would happen, and they stole his cane. That's the the hammer, and so he's like really screwed up against a wall, about to get shot. But
he's shouting insults to him.
Yeah, so he takes him down like any crazy dictator by yelling insults at him, and grabs his stick away. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
It was a bad plan. You should have died for that. and taps it on the ground, and then he's Thor again, and they're like, oh, where'd that Dr. Blake go? Now there's Thor standing there. I'm not going to put two and two together, because that would make too much sense. So he takes them out now, even though they're more heavily armed, in a compound versus when they took Jane.
Right.
And he uses a tent to cover them up so they can't shoot at him. And uses lightning bolts. He could have used those before, but okay.
We're going to use and we're going to point it at the volcano
to make it explode, which at this panel I was like, oh, he's going to kill people. But it just made them like
run away.
They didn't dive.
Hurry back down the mountain
from the volcano. And of course we have to have the evil communist dictator leader running off with a bunch of literal bags of money, like with the $ sign on them.
Right.
Maybe they weren't so cliche in the 50s. But like, come on. Anyway.
No, that's how you knew it was a money bags. Could have been his dirty laundry.
Yeah, he could be hauling his dirty laundry out of his compound.
He betrayed us. It's the Americans who are truly our friends.
That's so bad. He betrayed our nation. Not those who would plunge us into war, as if that's not exactly what the United States is doing in this country, is plunging them into war, but okay. And so ironically, the man who caused so many others to perish in front of the execution wall is himself the final victim. So his people turned on him for being a greedy commie dictator. Jerk. What a jerk. And also killing a lot of people. So the Revolutionary Army is crushed, and it's the end of the communist infiltration. Yay. Yeah. And Jane Foster's like, he was so strong and so masculine and so wonderful. And why can't lame Dr. Blake be like that? Except that she likes him. So I don't know why in her head she would be putting him down like that.
Golly, why couldn't you be brave and adventurous?
Yeah. Except that he like went to a foreign country to save lives.
Right, exactly.
Like, how brave do you want him to be? Whatever.
It's 1952, so.
It's like you like him and you're going to put him down in your head?
Right.
Oh, we actually have a viewer. So, yeah, we actually read both of these, so we're going to just move on to the next one. And the next... Okay, so that was the end. The end. Jane Foster's like, why can't you be more like Thor, even though I like you already? And you went and saved people at great risk to yourself. Jane. Yeah, no, it's 50s, and that one, I don't know when you joined, but specifically, it was, commies are bad, and the United States will save you from communism. That's Congratulations. Right. It was bad. All right, so our next one, which is better, I like this one better, is Journey into Mystery number 85, which is the first appearance of Loki. So...
Loki.
Poor lame Dr. Blake. He's so lame. But they use lame like at least 15 times, I think, in that 10-page comic book. They really wanted to stress the point that he had a limp. And so it was amazing.
He walked for the cane.
Yes. So this one I thought was better. I mean, I guess I have
I like this
soft
one better
spot for Loki.
I like this one better too.
Yeah. So I have to say overall, this Loki makes more sense as them being mischievous, whereas the Marvel Cinematic Loki, his mischievous results in a lot of people dying and destruction. So that's not so mischievous as as scary, as terrifying. So this one starts out with that we learn that there is an Asgard that exists. So it's not just some rando getting transformed into gods on planet Earth, which is what this Thor is based off of. And Loki is trapped in a tree, which I don't know if this is like actual Norse mythology. Like, did Thor trap Loki in a tree? Or whatever. Anyways, he's trapped in a tree. And the only way for him to get out of the tree is if somebody sheds a tear by his tree. And over the bajillions of years that he's trapped in it, he gains control of the tree. And he makes a leaf stab Heimdall in the freaking eye so that he sheds a tear by his tree so he can escape. You gotta watch out for those trees, man. I'm telling you. And he escapes. And he's like, my first victim is Thor, who trapped me here. Which I already have a problem with because Thor on Earth isn't really Thor. And why isn't he Thor? I'm so upset about it. Okay, sorry.
I'm just, wait, are we, you just got to throw logic and reason out the window.
Okay. Like, you would think whatever, we'll move on.
Like, it's like, okay.
So all the other gods are actually gods. Like, they're just gods living in Asgard. But Thor is, like, a magical persona that when a lame Dr. Blake taps his cane on the ground, he turns into Thor with a hammer.
Right.
There's some logical fallacies going on here. For killing Balder, Loki was punished by being bound beneath a tree. A serpent in the tree dripped venom in his eyes to torment him. Well, they toned that down a little bit for the Marvel comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's angry. I'm sure he's got good reason, and he is able to look into space and see the hammer. And so he can find Thor, and Thor is lifting a hospital bed in a children's ward.
Entertaining the children.
Entertaining children with his mighty Thor powers. And he's like, oh yeah, that Thor, he's got a soft heart. Let me go mess him up. How dare he help children? How dare he? So he hops on over to Earth, and okay, so there are some fallacies in this that made my head hurt. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I had a question from our chat. And no, they have not explained any backstory to Thor about why Dr. Blake can pick up a stick and be Thor. And if it's true that he was punished by Odin to turn into Dr. Blake, spoilers maybe? That would make a lot more sense. And that's a good retcon if they do that. Because I'm not understanding why Dr. Blake can be Thor and also knows how everything works. So I might have just spoiled us for a future journey into mysteries. But that would make more sense and would cause my brain to calm down about why this dude. Anyways, so Loki comes to Earth and says... Well, what?
It could be a case of reincarnation.
Yes. And it would also make sense for later on in this thing. I'll bring it up when we get to it. Because other people try to lift the hammer and they can't. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because Dr. Blake just picked it up off the ground of a cave.
Only Thor can pick it up.
So which means he'd have to be Thor without the hammer because he was Dr. Blake. And
Right. He's Thor without the hammer, but he looks like Dr. Blake, so there's some aspect of him that is Thor.
Spoiler alert, there will be times when Thor has to turn back into Dr. Blake because someone needs medical attention. He's in the middle of a battle, like swinging his thing, and like somebody's got a scratched knee on the ground. He's like, oh, hold it. I gotta turn back into Dr. Blake and go handle that down there. Loki comes to Earth, and he's like, it's been ages since I was last on Earth. I had better alter my attire to modern day clothing while I search for Thor. He's like god of mischief. And he's like, I'm just gonna blend in and
Yeah.
Because if I stand out, Thor would come to him faster, which he does. So, whatever. Anyway, so he goes in disguise and he goes to the hospital and they're like, yeah, he just left. And he's like, oh, darn. Now how am I going to find him? Oh, I guess I should, make something happen, which I'm assuming appearing on Earth as Loki would have been enough.
Isn't enough.
Like, well, you couldn't, you shouldn't have had to hide. You just have been like, I'm Loki. I'm here to cause mischief. Where's Thor? And he would like pop up. Anyways, instead we have to get this really good science. He turns people into negatives.
Yep.
Okay. And then Thor sees this and turns into negatives. Blake sees this and turns into Thor. And I'm going to give the writers credit here. They didn't use, like, what are the words they used to use? They used to use only, like, one word. Like quantum something, quantum something. They actually made up more words here, but it does not make any sense at all. No sense. So he says, if I rotate my hammer fast enough, it will emit antimatter particles. There it is. It's working. Now I'll just use the hammer as a super fan to blow the antimatter particles at the negative victims. And antimatter reverses their atoms and transforms them back into positive people.
You just gotta go with it.
Okay. It's so weird. It's so random. They could have done... there's all the possibilities in the universe, and that's what they picked.
Okay.
Okay, so they're like, thanks, Thor, for turning us back into positive people. Yeah. Oh, no, it's atomic. Oh, those first few we read, everything was atomic. Everything to explain anything. Oh, it was an atomic pencil.
Atomic
that was the answer. Because it was the bomb. That was everything it was about. And so Loki's like, ha, there's Thor. He's like, do you recognize me? And he says Loki, which I'm assuming he recognizes him because he looks like Loki, like people
with
are gonna
horns on his head, right?
But he doesn't know him. And then Jane Foster. I mean, I feel you. I feel you, Jane. She goes, Loki, a lovely name, and he seems so dashing and romantic. So, like, all of a sudden, she's in love with Loki.
Yeah.
After he says, I challenge you to a battle. Jane. If this was Tom Hiddleston Loki, I could get behind her, but this is just...
The guy must be nuts to take on Thor. And
yeah.
She's like, oh, look at
he's so dashing and romantic for coming to Earth and turning people negative.
Oh, yeah, that's... Yeah.
Loki was supposed to be pretty charming. Oh, okay. So maybe he's just got that charisma. Doesn't matter what he does. Everyone's like, yeah, he's the guy. So he makes a magic carpet to lure Thor into the sun. While Thor's swinging his hammer, it creates a light shining in his eyes that allows him to be hypnotized, because we have to throw hypnotism in. That's a requirement for every Marvel comic.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So he hypnotizes Thor to go to sleep and then to listen to whatever he says to do. And what is the first thing he says for Thor to do? First he makes sure that it's working. And he's like, oh, I need to take him away from his hammer, because if anything shocks him out of this, then he'd, have his hammer and it'd be bad. So he's like, Thor, there's a sea monster in that lake. Go throw it in there. And so Thor does, but it's the hammer, which Loki forgot for 2 seconds, I guess, that it comes back to Thor. It comes back and he's like, oh, darn. That didn't work. Let me make a copy of Thor, and Thor can hand Thor's hammer to Thor. And that did work. But now Thor has set down the hammer. And walks off. Oh, and so now the first thing for Loki to cause mischief is to let out the animals at the zoo.
Yep.
Okay. Start small, I guess. Um, so all these
mischief. It's just
exactly. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute that he just wanted to let the animals out at the zoo. So all the people start to try to lift Thor's hammer, and they cannot. So this is where I was so confused, because I was like, Dr. Blake just lifted that stick up.
Yeah, but you didn't remember at the very beginning. It says right on the only Thor can lift this hammer. So somehow Dr. Blake is for real Thor, not Dr. Blake.
Yeah,
so it must be like reincarnation or something.
Yeah, and
or
so I guess this is the first hint that, like, because I didn't understand about when they mentioned it that, like, only Thor could lift the hammer or whatever, or worthy of Thor. I didn't understand why that would be on it, because it, like, turned him into Thor. But I get it now if he's actually Thor, just like for God or something. So,
yes. So anyone who came in there could not lift the stick. Only he could lift the stick. Because it's because like when the executioner grabbed the stick, he didn't turn into Thor.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to be Thor to turn into
So
Thor.
I think they're dropping hints, and I wasn't picking them up. I was just like, this is confusing and doesn't make sense. And they're just like, you're stupid. You need to be connecting dots.
Kind of like, well, think about did you ever see like the Sword and the Stone?
Yeah. It just
where only King Arthur could pull the sword out. So it's like only Thor can lift the hammer.
I guess the thing that was holding me up was that I was stuck with the logic of, if you touched this stick, you were Thor. And not thinking that this person touched the stick because they were Thor. Like, I wasn't connecting those things. So that's where all these hints are getting lost on me, because I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. If you just pick it up, you're Thor. So you're worthy to be Thor. But that's not what's happening. And now I get it.
No, he is Thor, so he can pick it up.
Yeah, they did show us in the first Thor the side of the hammer that said that only the worthy could or possess the power of Thor.
Right.
So he walks into the zoo to release the animals, but it's been 60 seconds, because that's all he gets is 60 seconds. So he turns back into Blake and comes out of the hypnotism, and so walks back out. And once again, there's a pile of people around, and he's like, let me get that hammer. And they're like, oh, you can't lift it, you're lame. But he does, and there's a flash of light, and then it's Thor, and nobody's connecting the dots still. They're like, where'd that lame guy go? There's like a guy standing right in his place where his hand was on the hammer, but no.
Where'd that skinny guy go?
So I don't know why he hides. Like, he always like hides around the corner to turn into Thor. It's like, you could just do it out in public, because no one is smart. Everyone will just be like, where'd you go? There's Thor now.
And Loki's like, you've broken the hypnotic spell.
How'd you do that? And he's like, my plan is to fly away with a flock of pigeons. Oh, yeah. So Loki flies away with a flock of pigeons, and Thor spins his hammer and flies after him. And Loki's like, okay, I'm going to go use this crowded theater, because then Thor can't hurt me. I mean, Thor hasn't, like, tried to hurt him. He would have to hide it from Jane or other people who'd recognize Blake. For like, hiding around corners.
I guess taunting him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Jane doesn't seem to be the brightest crane on the box either. So... Thor's like, oh darn, there's people around, and I don't have a weapon that could just, like, zero in on one person. Guess I can't do anything. And so Loki drops a curtain on him, which I also found hilarious. This is a good, for all the logical fallacies, this is hilarious. So
So now we're going down in the subway.
Yeah, so they were like, we're going to catch you in the subway. And Loki's like pushing people into the tracks. And Thor's like, darn, guess I got to save them. And so he completely stops the subway from working. Way to go. There's a lot of angry people now. They can't get to work. And then up there, he's brought the winged horse of a gasoline sign to life. He couldn't just have a Pegasus. He had to steal it off a gasoline sign.
Yeah.
Which gas station is the winged horse one? Because we don't have that anymore. Yeah.
I can't remember. But yeah.
Anyways, so he took a gas sign and turned it into a Pegasus, and then he's in the Times Square crowd, which I don't even know did I know they were in New York? I don't know. Anyways, I can't swing my hammer. I can't fly after him. He's in a crowd of people, and he's like, I can't do anything. Darn. I don't know why crowds of people are his kryptonite.
He doesn't want to hurt anybody.
But he could just be like, can you guys make room? I mean, he's polite. Just be like, spread out a little bit. I mean, I'm a giant man with wings on my helmet. I would, I don't know, whatever. You'd think people would make a little bit of room. Can't just have Pegasus too Greek. And so I guess Loki's just like flying around Times Square, knocking down signs and stuff. And Thor makes it to an open area where there's pipes, so he could fly then. But whatever, he's going to pick up a pipe and throw it at Loki, and it lands on his head and knocks him off the horse.
Into the water.
And magically, Loki's powers don't work in water. Does anybody know if this is actually true? Is this another fact? Because otherwise, it's a convenient plot point. I was really hoping that Namor would show up. Namor.
Yeah.
Just he was chilling. Yeah. He was chilling in the water, but no. So Thor dives into the water and saves him, and Loki's like, "Oh, you didn't have to save me. Like, that's really nice." But then he's like, "Oh God, where are you taking me?" And he takes him to the world's tallest skyscraper, the Empire State Building.
Yep.
Okay.
In 1952, it would have been Empire State Building.
Okay. I was making sure. Yeah, this Loki. See, I love this Loki. This is the good Loki. He goes, I'm sending him back to Asgard the fastest way possible. He swings his hammer. So at this point, this panel, I'm like, he's only got 60 seconds, and then he's not Thor anymore. But obviously, he can sling his hammer at the speed of thought and send it across universe, galaxy, whatever. So he lands. Oh my gosh, I got a tickle in my throat. Sorry. He lands in Asgard. And everyone's like, Thor, yay! And then it gets its hammer back in 60 seconds. After going to a different planet.
And then he says, once again, my eldest son, the Lord of Thunder, has vanquished Loki. Don Blake just doesn't know he's...
Yeah. And then he comes back down, turns back into Dr. Blake, and once again, Jane Foster's like, gosh, I wish Dr. Blake was like Thor. Even though I like Dr. Blake, I wish he was Thor. The end. So that was the second one. The third Thor one. I liked it better than the commies one.
Yeah.
But yeah, our introduction to Loki was also good. I liked it. I thought this was a good one.
I liked it too.
So, do you want to keep reading Journey into Mystery for a couple ones, or?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So next week, then, we will read Journey into Mystery number 86.
Yes.
As long as it's
And
still called
hopefully,
that. If it's called Thor, I don't know when they start calling it Thor. Eventually they start calling it Thor, but not right now. So we'll read Journey into Mystery number 86 for next Wednesday.
wait a minute. Yes,
Dr. Blake is such a nice guy, but he has that damn limp. I just can't date a guy with a limp. Even though he like saves children's lives. Like, screw that. He has a limp. Can't do anything about it.
Can't handle it. Can't handle it. Man, they made a change to this stupid app.
12 cents though. What are comics running now? You can buy, I think they usually, I don't know, they say on the website you can buy digital comics for like $1.29. We both, me and Katiana both have Marvel Unlimited, so we can read all of the digital ones. That's $10 a month. So yeah, I like Marvel Unlimited. It's working well, except that on the website you can't have a library. On the app you can, but on the website, no, you can't. You just have to search things, so it's a little annoying. So we will now discuss quickly spoilers for What If. So if you have not watched What If, don't bother. Don't bother.
Don't bother.
I don't even which one or What If are we on? Which ones have we not talked about?
The last 3,
Yeah.
maybe. Wait, I gotta pull up Disney Plus so I can.
Yeah. Which ones have you watched? Which ones can we talk about?
I got caught up with them, but
Okay.
I didn't watch today's.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So we didn't talk about What If Doctor Strange, right? Last week?
Yeah, wait, we did.
We did talk about Doctor Strange?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
So we're
that's the one where
Yeah, okay. You're right. So we're going to talk What If Zombies. So what do you think of the What If Zombies episode?
Oh, man. I don't like zombies.
I don't like zombies. Zombies are terrifying. I don't...
I'm not terrified of them. I just don't... The whole zombie thing is just kind of like... And zombifying anything is just like, no. Just...
Yeah.
Zombies are just no. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so what's funny is I play 7 Days to Die, which is a zombie game.
Yeah.
And
no.
I can't play it late at night, and I can't play it by myself because it's too terrifying. And I have nightmares. So I don't like zombies. Now, this is a cartoon, and it's Marvel, so this wasn't as scary for me, but... and it was kind of funny. And also annoying in the way that Marvel comics are annoying. So you got to remember the movies. I don't remember which movie this is. It's a movie with Avengers in it. And Thanos shows up to kill people. And Hulk can't turn into Hulk. But instead we get... spoilers. Okay, leave now.
Yeah.
Leave now if you haven't seen it. Instead we get Iron Man, I think, as a zombie and like... bites off their hand or something. I can't remember exactly what happened. So anyways, the zombies come out. Hulk is saved by the girl. The girl ant. Whatever her name is. Hope. Her name's Hope.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, it's zombies now, and the Avengers are going around and creating zombies. So it's a bunch of running away and, you know, trying to survive, looking for a cure. My favorite part of it, by favorite I mean annoying, was that Hope turns giant to go across the zombies to get them in. And, like, she knows the zombies are going to get her. How is this? She'd already been. How is this a good idea? Yeah. How is it a good idea? Because you're just going to have a giant zombie. Which they do. It's just like, this is not a good idea. There's going to be a giant zombie now. But they get to the place that there was a beacon or something, and it's Vision harvesting people to feed Wanda. Okay. I didn't like this episode.
I don't like zombies.
And they escape with T'Challa, right? But Wanda's a zombie. This is not a good episode. I don't like it. And Hope's like, you gotta have hope or not Hope. Somebody said that to Spider-Man guy. How does this one even end? I've watched this one so long ago. What if zombies episode?
They go to
How did it end?
Some of them escaped and they went to Wakanda, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so they went to Wakanda, and there was like a zombie Thanos outside ready to like break into Wakanda, and that's where it ends, right?
Right.
So I didn't like this one. It wasn't a good story, and I don't know.
They just put zombies in everything, man. It's just like.
But I feel like it could have been way better. I don't know. I didn't really like that one. I think because it was just like a zombie movie, I guess, that they're just, it's just constant running, and it just seemed so not put together. Like the Vision thing with Wanda, and oh yeah, T'Challa lost his leg. That was like kind of dark. I was like he fed his leg to Wanda. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't like that one so much.
I didn't like it either.
Did you watch the Killmonger rescue Tony Stark one?
Yeah, I didn't like that one either.
I didn't
watch it
better than the zombie one. So Killmonger rescues Tony Stark, so Tony doesn't get his
heart
awakening moment.
Right.
So he keeps being a jerk. But Killmonger really only has one plan, and that's to rule Wakanda. So pretty much he just uses everybody to his advantage to get into Wakanda.
And kill everyone.
Yeah.
And take over and become king of Wakanda.
Yeah. That was pretty much that episode reviewed. And then I just watched the new one.
I think he killed Tony Stark too.
Yeah.
Part of that.
Yeah. I mean, that I feel like that wasn't a great loss, since he wasn't really even Iron Man. He was just a jerk funding wars. So.
Yeah. Let's just make weapons.
Yeah, I have to agree that these two weren't very good. Not at all.
We did not talk about the Doctor Strange What If, because that one actually was a really good episode, because it basically reinforces the point I've been trying to make of the whole thing, is you can't mess around with time. So on that one, Doctor Strange kept trying to redo time, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
Every time he tried to save the girl, she ended up getting killed some other way. So he just time and do it again, and she get killed some other way. So in other words, she was gonna die right then, and there wasn't a dang thing he was gonna do about it.
Yep. I like that one, and the only thing I didn't like was that they said that her death was a fixed point, which it's not. Like, she didn't die in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I have a problem with that. And I don't know how they explain it. Except that it's a fixed point in that universe. And so I know you're not into like the timeline, universe, dimension thing, but So
Well, it was then in that universe.
right.
It's a fixed point.
So that means there is more than one timeline per universe, which is questions I had about Loki. So there are multiple timelines in a universe, and there are multiple universes. So they're not those two terms aren't interchangeable, and it means there's like even more confusingness, which I thought was the case. I thought that was the case. So they're saying that it's a fixed point of time in that universe because it's not a fixed point of time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because she didn't die. So it's not a fixed point across all reality, which I don't know if he said it was or not. That was my only problem. That was my only problem with that episode because it's not. Because she didn't die in ours. So that was my only problem with it. I did like this week's episode, but I won't talk about it because you haven't seen it yet. So
No, I haven't watched it yet. So
yeah. So next week we will do Journey into Mystery number 86 and talk about episode 7 of the What If. And yeah, that's it. All right.
What if Thor were an only child? Oh, that ought to be good.
Yeah, it is good. I like that one. And we will see you guys next week.